I actually just met Skip Bayless a few days ago for the first time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we were having lunch at the same place in Beverly Hills, and I walked up to him. I introduced myself. He knew who I was. We had a little conversation. Cool guy.
One thing that I respect Skip about, right, is his dedication to his job.
Yeah.
Right? Like I look at his Instagram every fucking day. He wakes up at 2:31, 2:30 on a dot, gets prepared for work.
Mm-hmm.
This all the athletes, we can sit here and complain that we don't like his takes or shit, but you can't say you're more dedicated at work than he is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A man who's waking up to prepare, he go work out first, he does this, works on his takes, and then he goes and does his job.
Yeah, no, listen,
You know what I mean?
I was lightweight nervous. Like usually, because I've met damn near, well, not every celebrity, but I've met a lot of celebrities because it's just my job, right? And I mean, not only do I meet them in interviews, but when I'm out, I introduce myself. Usually most celebrities know who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because of how long the platform's been around. But I was lightweight nervous meeting him because I'm like, I kind of aspire to, you know what I mean? Because he's in his 60s at this point and still doing it at a very high level and still holding his ground. And I'm like, I admire this guy. This is what I aspire. I mean, we have different types of businesses. He doesn't own his own company. He works for, was it ESPN?
Mm-hmm.
But like what he's accomplished and how he kept accomplishing it was really like, this is dope. And when I met him and he knew who I was like, okay, this is great. Because they featured some of my clips before on the show. Yeah, and I know Shannon as well. Mm-hmm. Like, so it was like, okay, this is great.
It's just like, when I got into the social media, right, you pick up all the top heads, right, and you put them up there, and then you just see, all right, they're at the top for a reason. There's no undrafted player, right, that's going to be fucking, Mount Rushmore. Yeah. That goes with anything, right? The cream of the crop always rises. Now, what makes them great? Yeah. And that's what I pay attention to.
Yeah, I studied him. Right? I studied him. Like the way Skip and Russell Westbrook went back and forth, where he called it like Westbrook or something like that. And he was like, like when I'm going to see you or something, he goes, you can come to my show. You can see me whenever you want. I'm like, I'm going to use that. I like that. That's a great way of flipping things around. So it was like, okay. I like the way you're handling things. Mm-hmm. It's not like a one-on-one fight between the two wouldn't even be remotely fair. Mm-hmm. But he was like, I'm going to say, this is my job and I'm going to stand on it. And when he was out, he didn't have security or nothing. You know what I mean?
But like it's one of these things. As a player, naturally, we do not respect media. Right? Because
I can see why.
Because there's a thing of I'm doing this. Right, I'm doing this job that I'm preparing for. I put my heart and soul into it. You've never stepped a foot in here, but you're giving me your takes on my ability. How dare you? Right. Yeah. So we have that. Now I'm on the other side. Right. So now I'm trying to figure out where do you guys get your takes from? Okay, that's bullshit. This and that, and. More of it is more research and opinion versus real, true eye tests, right? And, that's where now the athlete is coming into this space, and now you're giving your take from your personality and your experience, but we still need to study what made them last this long.
Right, because when you look at the top guys in media, in sports media, I mean, you have Shannon Sharp. He was a top NFL player, but he's a bit of an anomaly, right? Because he's with Skip Bayless, who I don't think played anything. Yeah. Stephen A. Smith, I don't think played anything. And if they did, it wasn't at a very high level. So it's kind of like Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, two non-athletes who are at the top of this game, right?
Yeah.
Now you see, I mean, listen.
But at some point,
but then you got Shaq and you got Charles Barkley and everything else like that. But in certain areas you do have athletes. But then again, it opens things up for Skip Bayless to come in and dominate.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is before the athlete wasn't coming back, right? So you have the Magic Johnson, you have those, but Magic is not really there full time, right? It's just fun for him, right? You have Kenny Smith, and then with Shaq and Charles, they're more personalities. than actual information, right? They give you here and there, but it's not real detailed. So what ends up happening is now the J.J. Reddicks, the Kedra Perkins, the Mead, we're coming.
Yeah.
And we're coming, and what happened is we're adapting you guys information because you guys can't adapt to our knowledge of what we're doing. So that's why I tell us, yo, study them, understand how to present it, how to talk, how to throw out your zingers and throw out your clickbait with our information. We remove them in the future.
Well, yeah, but when you look at like former athletes that get into this game, for example, the Charles Barkley Jordan situation. Because remember at one point, Barkley criticized some of Jordan's moves, with the Hornets. And he said that Jordan called him up, cussed him out, and they've never spoken since. And that was like a decade ago. And they were like best friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like being on the athlete side, there is more sort of politics involved sometimes, and relationships and friendships and everything else like that. Whereas a lot of times when you have media people like myself, they separate any sort of personal relationships from people that they report on. So they could do kind of a harder take on people without having to worry about, he's not gonna be my friend anymore if I say this.
Yeah, but athletes don't really think like that. You think more of, was it a fair take? Is your take bias or is it truth? Right? So when the only thing I don't like Skip for is you're being biased with your takes on LeBron, right? Right? Like, we know you love Jordan, right? We know Shannon loves LeBron, right? So it's a good mix between the two of you, but when you guys stand alone, Skip, you look bad when you're saying that LeBron's greatness ain't great. Like, stop comparing it to Jordan and compare it to his fucking self, right? Like, we get it. You love Jordan. You're not going to let him. Get that. Stephen A. Smith says, hey, listen, I love Jordan. He's not going to be better than Jordan. He can be two. We can respect that, right? We understand your take. Shannon's like, hey, LeBron's number one, Jordan's number two, right? We can respect that. You give your takes, but to say like, I don't like him. He can't do this. He can't do that. It's like, okay, that's just biased takes now. That's not even real information anymore. I can't take it as real information because you have your personal agenda mixed into it. You can't report like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the argument that Charles Barkley made about the Jordan situation, was like, I still have to do my job. And to be fair, the Charlotte Hornets have not been a very good team under the Jordan ownership. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
But now here's what Jordan's going to say. Well, you take every year I owned it, you take my pick, right? You take my pick and then you redo the pick. Now that I make the worst decisions, that's where Michael Jordan will sit there and do. Now you look at it. So now you're saying, all right, I got the number one pick. Okay, I got Kwame Brown, right? Now let's rewind it. Who was I going to pick now, right? Right? Am I going to pick Tyson Chandler? Yeah, he had 20 years, but he was never a star. Do I take that with the number one pick? Probably not. Eddie Curry? Probably not. Gasol? Ding, ding, ding. But was Gasol even considered the number one pick? No. So technically, you can't fault me for picking what everybody would have picked as a number one pick, right? Now we go to my Charlotte days, right? And I take Adam Morrison, all right? Who else would I would have took with that pick? Yeah, we can look at who became stars after, but were they considered that pick then? No. So you're judging me on, we're taking the best pick, the best player that's supposed, if they didn't pan out, then you blame me for not preparing these kids to be great. Say I don't have the best infrastructure on building the talent. I can live with that. But don't say, I'm the worst GM because of the picks and these are the people I was supposed to pick, because if I took 4 and 5, 6, 7 were trash too, those are the fucking picks I would have had to pick any goddamn way. 9? Who would have picked 9? Who would have thought 9 would have been fucking the star? No one. That's why we didn't fucking pick them, right? Yeah. And those are the things that athletes look at. Like, when you're judging me, are you judging it fair?
Fair enough.
You know, and that's if you're not judging it fair, then it's fuck you.